WGN Sports is the programming division of WGN-TV, an independent television station located in Chicago, Illinois, United States, which is owned by the Tribune Broadcasting subsidiary of Tribune Media, that is responsible for all sports broadcasts on the station, some of which were previously also broadcast on its former national superstation feed WGN America. In the Chicago market, WGN produced telecasts of Chicago Cubs, White Sox, Bulls and Blackhawks games also occasionally air on independent station WCIU-TV under the brand WGN Sports on the U, and MyNetworkTV owned and operated station WPWR-TV under the brand WGN Sports on My50. Game telecasts produced by WGN-TV are also syndicated to television stations in Illinois, Indiana and Iowa. History. Throughout its history, WGN-TV has had a long-standing association with Chicago sports, perhaps with the exception of the NFL's Chicago Bears. Each of the city's major professional sports franchises, along with several area collegiate teams, have had the games regularly televised over Channel 9. Cubs and White Sox baseball. The station's relationship with the Chicago Cubs traces back to Channel 9's inception in April 1948, and was further cemented during the 28 years that the Tribune Company owned the National League franchise. At the same time, Channel 9 was also broadcasting games from Chicago's American League team, the White Sox. Jack Brickhouse, the longtime sports director for the WGN television and radio stations, handled play-by-play announcing duties for the home games of both teams until 1967, when the White Sox ended the first stint on WGN-TV, and continued to call Cubs games until his retirement from broadcasting in 1981. With both teams, Brickhouse called over 5,000 baseball games during his career, sharing the booth with announcers such as Milo Hamilton, Lou Boudreau, Vince Lloyd and Lloyd Pettit. Over the years, the number of Cubs games on WGN gradually decreased as it began sharing the rights to the Cubs as well as the White Sox with regional cable sports networks, culminating with Tribune's $845 million sale of the team to Thomas S. Ricketts in August 2009. On November 5, 2013, the Cubs exercised an option to opt out of the television contract with WGN-TV following the 2014 season. As part of the opt-out clause exercise, the team gave the station a 30-day window to make a counter-offer for a deal lasting through the 2019 season, which, in any instance, would raise the rights fees that WGN pays the team from an annual rate of $20 million, and align the contract with the end of the team's cable rights deal. On January 7, 2014, WGN-TV announced a deal with the Cubs to air a reduced slate of 45 games per season beginning in 2015. The remaining 25 over-the-air Cubs telecasts would air on ABC-owned and operated station WLS-TV, which acquired partial broadcast rights to those games in December 2014. WGN-TV regained the broadcast rights to the White Sox in 1973, although it opted to enter into a contract with then-competing independent station WSNS-TV to have that station carry the games, an arrangement that lasted through the 1980 season. With this, White Sox broadcaster Harry Caray joined the WGN family, occasionally sitting in as a sports anchor on the station's newscasts during the 1970s. Channel 9 exclusively carried White Sox games in 1981. but lost the team's rights to another independent station competitor WFLD-TV the following year. With the retirement of Brickhouse after the 1981 season, Carey was dispatched from the South Side to replace him as the Cubs' lead television voice for the next 16 years, primarily working with analyst Steve Stone. Carey further established his place among Chicago's most beloved personalities. Like Brickhouse, Carey was known for displaying an unapologetic, home team-oriented enthusiasm to his game calls, punctuated with memorable signature catchphrases for big plays. Carey also brought his unique rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the seventh-inning stretch to the Channel 9 broadcast booth, with WGN-TV's emerging prominence as a national superstation during the 1980s and 1990s. Carey's fan base, and that of the Cubs, grew beyond Chicago and the Midwestern United States. The team's 8-year run on WFLD ended with it and the Sox involved in a lawsuit over allegations by station representatives of team mismanagement that resulted in declining viewership for the games and profit losses for WFLD on the contract, as well as breached advertising agreements with the Chicagoland Dodge Dealers auto franchise. Following an out-of-court settlement between the team and WFLD station management, the White Sox announced on September 14, 1989, that it would move its local telecasts back to WGN-TV beginning with the 1990 season, when co-owner Jerry Reinsdorf agreed to long-term deals with the station for both the Sox and his NBA franchise, the Chicago Bulls. Bulls basketball. The Bulls originally broadcast the games on Channel 9 from the team's inception in 1966 until 1973, and again from 1976 until 1985. Jack Brickhouse, Lorne Brown, Milo Hamilton and Bob Costas were among those assigned to work as Bulls play-by-play announcers, with Johnny Red Kerr serving as an analyst. After losing the rights to WFLD for 4 years through the same agreement that resulted in that station also reacquiring the local television rights to the White Sox, the team's games returned to WGN-TV for the start of the 1989-90 season, just in time for the Bulls' dominance of the NBA during the Michael Jordan era. Blackhawks Hockey. The NHL's Chicago Blackhawks first had their games carried by the station from 1961 until 1975. WGN-TV's broadcasts were limited to away games, as the Blackhawks owner at the time, Bill Wirtz, had long prohibited televised coverage of his team's home games in order to sustain ticket sales. Following the elder Wirtz's death in September 2007, his son Rocky Wirtz and successor ended the home game television blackout on March 30, 2008. The Blackhawks announced a broadcasting agreement with Channel 9 and Comcast Sportsnet Chicago that would allow both broadcasters to carry a divided schedule of the team's home and away games beginning with the 2008-09 season. The station has aired 20 Blackhawks games per season, starting with a 3-year contract that began in the 2008-09 campaign. On February 15, 2011, it was announced that the team had renewed the broadcast contract with WGN-TV for 5 additional years through the 2015-16 NHL season. Other sporting events. In November 2010, WGN-TV became the home for Chicago Bears preseason and regular season games that are not carried by a broadcast network, simulcasting games televised on NFL Network's Thursday Night Football under NFL rules. Games that air on cable networks are required to be simulcast on a local broadcast station in each team's home market. This marked the first time the WGN broadcast games from all 5 major Chicago sports teams during the course of a single season. The Bears' simulcasts were not carried on WGN America. Along with its coverage of professional teams, WGN-TV also currently holds broadcast rights to the Illinois Derby, Hawthorne Gold Cup Handicap and Arlington Million horse races, the broadcasts of which were limited to the Chicago area signal during the latter years of WGN America's tenure as the station's national feed. The station had formerly broadcast football and basketball games from Chicago area college teams, such as Northwestern University, DePaul University and Loyola University, and other teams of the Big Ten Conference. Broadcast rights issues. In 1996, WGN-TV temporarily lost the rights to broadcast Chicago Bulls basketball games after the National Basketball Association filed a lawsuit over WGN's national transmission of the team's games over its then superstation feed. This decision led cable provider Telecommunications, Inc., to remove the national WGN channel from some of its systems outside the Chicago area. TCI cited the loss of Bulls broadcast rights, along with its own decision to make room for additional cable channels, as the reasons behind its decision to drop the superstation feed. However, viewer outcry over the decision in some markets led TCI to back off its plans to drop the national WGN feed from its systems in 5 Midwestern states. On July 8, 1999, WGN-TV, an independent station WCIU-TV, entered into a sports programming arrangement, in which the latter station would carry select Bulls and White Sox games, and a limited number of Cubs games, that are produced by and contracted to air on WGN-TV for exclusive broadcast within the Chicago market. This is due to network affiliation contracts that limit the number of programming preemptions on an annual basis, and broadcasting restrictions put in place by the NBA which limited the WGN national feed to air only 15 Bulls games per season. The remaining Bulls games produced by WGN-TV were split between the station's Chicago area signal and WCIU-TV. Until 2015, Blackhawks games aired on Channel 9 were also exclusive to the Chicago market. On February 19, 2015, WCIU owner Weigel Broadcasting terminated its agreement with Tribune to carry WGN-produced Cubs and White Sox telecasts, in an effort to limit scheduling conflicts with Channel 26's then recently launched early primetime newscast. WPWR-TV replaced WCIU as WGN's overflow outlet for these baseball games. Restrictions similar to those that affected WGN America also prevent WGN-TV from running sports highlights during live streams of the station's newscasts on the WGN-TV.com website, which are replaced with a screen noting the restrictions as the audio portion of the sports segments are streamed. As a result of the transfer of the Chicago CW affiliation from WGN-TV to WPWR on September 1, 2016, per an exemption included by Tribune in its May 2016 affiliation agreement with CW managing partner CBS Corporation that renewed affiliations for 12 of Tribune's 13 CW-affiliated stations. WGN Sports is expected to migrate Cubs, White Sox, Bulls and Blackhawks sports telecasts produced by the station that it had previously deferred to WPWR and WCIU exclusively to Channel 9 once it converts into an independent station. distribution outside the Chicago market. WGN America, during the 37 years that it served as the national feed of WGN-TV, its superstation feed, which eventually became known as WGN America, carried most of the station's sports telecasts outside of the Chicago market. Between 1978 and 1990, WGN-TV's Chicago signal was distributed nationwide, resulting in viewers outside of Chicago being able to watch the station's sports telecasts as they were seen locally, unless the games were blacked out by request from a local stations that had the exclusive market rights to the Chicago team's opponents. Until 2014, the national channel aired all Cubs and White Sox games and about 10 to 20 Chicago Bulls NBA games that WGN-TV televised locally in the Chicago market. As part of Tribune's conversion of the network from a superstation into a general entertainment cable channel, the company announced that WGN America would no longer broadcast Chicago Cubs, Bulls and White Sox games. Tribune Media President and Chief Executive Officer Peter LaGuardia cited limited revenue and viewership accrued from the broadcasts behind the decision to drop the national telecasts. Several seasons of subpar play by the Cubs after Tribune's sale of the team to Thomas S. Ricketts in late 2009. Even prior to the decision, WGN America had chosen not to air certain sports-related programming carried on the Chicago signal, such as the Blackhawks victory parade following the 2010 Stanley Cup playoffs and a half-hour special paying tribute to the late Cubs player and broadcaster Ron Santo in 2011. The last sports telecast from WGN-TV to air on WGN America was a Chicago Bulls NBA game against the Golden State Warriors that aired on December 6, 2014. Outside of stations in Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa that carried the games through syndication agreements, WGN-produced sports telecasts are now only viewable elsewhere in North America via Canadian television providers that carry the Chicago television station's signal through the out-of-market sports packages NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass and MLB Extra Innings, prior to striking agreements with other stations in Illinois and Indiana to carry Blackhawks games in 2015. These methods were the only ways that American viewers could view WGN's Blackhawks game coverage outside the Chicago market, since WGN America was not permitted to carry the team's games. Beginning with the 2015 Major League Baseball season, Cubs and White Sox games aired by WGN-TV in the Chicago area became available nationally through the DirecTV version of Extra Innings via the station's local feed, and incorporates local commercials and station promos that were emitted from the national simulcasts on WGN America in recent years. Regional syndication, dating back to at least the early 1980s, WGN-TV had syndicated its Cubs and White Sox telecasts to television stations in parts of the Midwest and U.S. in East St. Louis, Illinois St. Louis, Missouri. During its tenure as an independent station, select Bulls games aired by WGN and WCIU were also simulcast to many of these same stations and others within the team's designated market territory. All White Sox, Bulls and Cubs games televised on WCIU began to be syndicated to local stations in central Illinois and Iowa through the WGN Sports network. service beginning with the team's 2011 seasons. With the conversion of WGN America into a traditional cable channel, WGN-TV chose to expand distribution of its Chicago Cubs, White Sox, Bulls and Blackhawks telecasts through syndication agreements with television stations in Illinois, Indiana and Iowa, primarily those affiliated with the CW and MyNetworkTV, that are within each team's designated market area in Des Moines, and WQAD-TV in Moline, Illinois, respectively affiliated with NBC and ABC, which carry WGN's baseball telecasts on the respective Antenna TV and MyNetworkTV affiliated digital sub-channels. Most notably, Wish TV in Indianapolis reached agreements to carry the station's Cubs, White Sox and Blackhawks telecasts as part of its efforts to restore sports content to its lineup in the months following the loss of its CBS affiliation, ironically, to WGN-TV's sister station WPWR-TV, and its subsequent switch to the CW in January 2015. Some games also air on MyNetworkTV affiliated sister WGN-TV, due to preemption limitations included in the CW's affiliation contracts. Wish and WGN do not carry Bulls telecasts due to the presence of the Indiana Pacers, whose games air on Fox Sports Indiana.